Welcome to Building with Founders, a broadcast by Cast Capital. And in this episode, we sit down with Erin Dawicki, co-founder and CEO of LymeAlert, an early-stage startup emerging from MIT, where they're taking on the most common vector-borne disease in the United States. By empowering people with an at-home tick testing kit, LymeAlert lets you test a tick for the bacteria that causes Lyme disease and get results in 20 minutes or less. If the tick carries disease, users are prompted to connect with a healthcare provider immediately. With Lyme disease now diagnosed in all 50 states and 65 countries, and delayed diagnoses leading to chronic lifetime consequences, LymeAlert is racing to close the gap between a tick bite and treatment. Hope you enjoy. So Erin, the company you founded, LymeAlert, it gives people a 20-minute at-home tick test and a companion app that maps hotspots in real time. Now, in your own words, what problem are you solving, and why is now the moment to put this technology in families' hands?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one part of the reason that drove me to go to MIT Sloan was because I see so much inequality in healthcare, particularly in access. So by the time I see a lot of patients, I could have treated them a lot easier and a lot faster if they had come in to see me when they needed healthcare. However, deductibles are high, so people put off care until it becomes an emergency, and then it's a lot harder and more expensive to treat. So one of those issues is with ticks. So patients will call me and say, hey, I found a tick on me or my kid. What do I do with it? I haven't met my deductible. I can't afford to come see you. And at that point, typically, I'm prescribing antibiotics just in case, because the effects of missing Lyme are so high. And I don't want someone to have permanent disability because I wasn't able to extend to them that courtesy and that grace.
Gotcha.
So I came up with the idea of LymeAlert because I'm really interested in improving access to healthcare.
Okay.
And home tick testing is one way I can do that. Doesn't solve the whole problem. It doesn't solve the systemic issue.
Yep.
But at least I'm chipping away at that problem.
Okay. Now, let's dig into that systemic issue, and I'm curious. Let's start at the beginning in regards to your work in the healthcare system. Like, how did that come about? Like, how did you decide to get into the healthcare space?
So I wanted to be a healthcare provider from elementary school.
Okay.
Like, there's literally a picture of me in the local newspaper in a doctor's coat doing a science project in the first grade,
Yep.
like about what does a primary care physician do.
Okay.
So I've always wanted to be a healthcare provider. Healing people, fixing people, making people better has always appealed to me, and it's felt like a calling to me.
Okay.
And so
What was that initial spark? Do you remember?
it's just always been there,
Okay.
and like in a really weird but deep-seated way. So and it extended to animals. Our house was the place when we were growing up that people would drop off their injured animals because they knew we would figure out how to take care of them and do the best that we could, because there were no wildlife rehabbers back then. So, we had a chicken, we had a goat, we had hedgehogs, we had an African gray parrot. I mean, our house was wild.
And where was this?
This is in Fairhaven, Massachusetts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And so I've always been drawn to helping people, making them better, making animals better. And I actually thought I wanted to be a veterinarian initially.
Okay.
And then, I shadowed a veterinarian and realized a couple things. Number one, it's really expensive to become a veterinarian.
Okay.
And number two, you have to put animals down. So that part is tough.
I don't think I could do that.
And number three, the return on investment. So I came from an economically disadvantaged family. So, I really had to make smart financial choices. And the veterinarians I was talking to were like, no, I would go into human healthcare. I would never tell my kid to do this, which is kind of sad, but the reality. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I got my EMT license when I was 17. So I went to EMT school at 17. I saved up. I made money at McDonald's, actually, so that I could take the EMT course.
Okay.
And I sat for my license when I was 18. And I started working 24-hour shifts on the weekends all summer.
Oh, wow.
Because when we were about 12, our parents sat us down and said, hey, you and your sister are really smart and you should probably go to college, but we can't afford this. So we, from a pretty young age, were already hustling, trying to figure out, like, how do we get out of this situation? How do we break, the generational poverty? How do we get to the next thing?
Gotcha.
So we started collecting cans when we were 12 and
Okay.
turning those in for nickels, and then babysitting, and then coaching soccer camp and giving tennis lessons. I mean,
Yeah.
oh my God, we did crazy stuff.
Now, what did your parents do?
So my dad was enlisted in the Coast Guard
Okay.
when he entered high school, so from age 18.
Okay.
And so he was stationed on Nantucket when I was born.
Gotcha.
And so, 21-year-old guy, and my mom was, I think, 22 at the time.
Okay.
So they didn't have the money to take the boat back and forth to go to the mainland.
Yeah.
So I was the first baby born on Nantucket in a very long time.
Oh, wow.
Like, they literally had to take dust covers off of equipment per my mom.
Oh my God.
Like, they're like, "Hey, we remember how to do this."
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I was my mom's first baby. So she's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, not the most confidence inspiring,
Yeah.
situation, but everybody was super nice." And my sister was actually the first ultrasound images. So they had saved up on the island to buy an ultrasound machine.
Oh my God.
And so my mom said, "Thank God it was my second kid because,
Yeah.
everyone from the mailman to, the police department wanted to
Yeah.
see this cool new machine that they had bought for the island." So
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah. So we were born out in Nantucket, the two of us,
Okay.
and then moved out to the mainland when I was about 4.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So my dad was enlisted. Always worked a lot of blue collar jobs. Always cobbled a lot of jobs together. So he was a police officer. He did HVAC. He worked for a store called Plumber Supply Company, and then he got a job with National Grid, which was gas at the time, way back when. And that
Okay.
was his first union job, and that was, like, a big deal. That
Okay.
was stability.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yep.
Now I'm curious, how did his hustle then inspire your hustle when you were 12 years old, you said?
Yeah, when you grow up with a scarcity mindset that you're there you've always got this fear that the bottom could drop out. And as a result, you're always looking to give yourself insurance, whether or not that's extra skills, you know, um, extra babysitting, whatever you can do to try and provide that stability, not just for yourself, but also for your family.
Yeah.
And you're always looking for that next opportunity of how do we help lift everybody up and get out of the current situation we're in.
Yeah.
And not that that situation was a terrible situation. It was
Yeah.
just not where we wanted to be.
Yep.
And so even now with my startup, there's always a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C.
Yes.
Like, okay, this is what we want to do ideally. But if this doesn't work out, what do we do in that case? And then there's also that really deep sense of responsibility towards my teammates because they gave up stability, economic stability, to work with me for this idea.
Yeah.
Because they believed in me and my vision and what we could do as a team. And that's a really big responsibility.
Yeah.
And I don't take that lightly.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a rewarding one as well, though.
It's the best team I've ever been on.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
To just delve or just go into the deeper question here, like, how do you think our healthcare system and why do you think it got to the state that it's in today?
Well, you get systemic injustice, right? So
Mhm.
you've got certain communities who don't have the same level of economic opportunity, and therefore getting highly trained clinicians to those areas who need a certain level of education or opportunity for their families too is incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Then you've got an education system that puts such a high premium on the cost of education that you need to make a certain level of salary in order to pay off that loan and have economic opportunity for your family.
Yeah.
So we've created a system that in order to fix, you'd have to go all the way back to us saying as a society that
Hmm.
this is an important enough role that we
Yeah.
need to support and fund these students. And that gives them the freedom to go into these specialties.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a shame where it should be at the bedrock of the nation.
Hmm.
The notion that good care is not something that is looked upon as a luxury,
Exactly.
but it's just how you should start off
Hmm.
in the country. And that's a good point you bring up there, where it's like the individuals shelling out the money to go to the school, they need the ROI.
Hmm.
And then if they need that ROI, then the care is going to be expensive.
Yep.
And I mean, across the world, healthcare is relatively free to a degree.
Exactly.
Do you know why or how we made it part of our capitalistic system?
Post World War II,
Okay.
the insurance industry was set up as an incentive to get workers to go to large companies. So health insurance was given as a perk of the job to say, if you come work for Ford or, one of the big companies, then we will cover your health care.
Okay.
And that was the birth of the insurance industry.
Interesting. And now prior to them working at these big companies, what did healthcare look like for the average American?
Pay per service, so fee for service.
Okay.
So as family physicians who had, covered a town essentially.
Got it.
And the things, medicines didn't cost as much, technology didn't cost as much. And so as the cost of all of these things have risen,
You had no choice, essentially, but to work at a large organization to be able
Right.
to have the healthcare for you and
Right.
your family.
right?
I remember listening to a podcast the other day talking about that same notion where there's so many people who would become entrepreneurs and would work for themselves,
Yep.
but feel like they don't have the ability to or are afraid to because that notion of not having that safety net of health insurance
Yep.
is just something they can't possibly go without.
Right. I mean, the vast majority of America is one medical diagnosis away from bankruptcy. And what's the first thing when somebody gets diagnosed with cancer? What's the first thing you see? A GoFundMe.
Yeah,
No other country has that.
I know. So how did the other countries start off in their healthcare systems? Did they start off with a pay-to-go system and then
Um, I can't speak on the history of every country,
Yeah.
but I do know that other societies, particularly post World War II, as a
Mhm.
society said that this is important, and
Okay.
we want part of our taxes, a percentage of our taxes, going towards a healthy society,
got
because that
it.
actually saves a lot of money. If you have access to regular preventative health care, then you're not in this permanent state of emergency like we are here.
Yeah.
Costs come down.
Yep. So everyone else went this way. We went this.
We and I mean, look at family medical leave. We're like the only so-called first world country that does not have paid parental leave as a guarantee for every citizen.
Hmm. So my girlfriend has read this book and she was telling me about it called Good Energy.
Okay.
Are you familiar with
I
Good
haven't read
Energy?
that. No.
It was it's by someone who used to be in the healthcare industry themselves, and through being in the healthcare industry, they had like the realization to a degree that the industry itself was less of a degree health treatment system and more of a less of a health care, like as opposed to necessarily like a health cure system
Right.
looking to cure anything. It was more of a health care system in that we'll treat
Mm-hmm.
these issues as opposed to get to the root cause
Right.
of these issues. Because if the system itself is a capitalistic system is going to operate in the fashion of, I'm sure you're familiar with the Charlie Munger quote. I feel like I've been referencing that like on every episode
Very
now.
relevant.
Yeah. But just the general notion that if you show me an incentive, I'll show you the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So any system that operates, any business that operates in a capitalistic system, it's going to want to generate revenue
Mhm.
and generate predictable
Right.
revenue, right? So if you cure something,
Mm-hmm.
that's a customer who like goes into one of the stores here in the Prudential Center,
Mm-hmm.
they go in, buy a pair of pants, and you never know if they're coming back or
Right.
not,
Right.
right?
Yep.
As opposed to like a SaaS company or a B2B
Yep.
software company, you have recurring revenue.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee for the next 12 months, their money is going to hit our bank account.
Yep.
And it's predictable and everyone feels more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's how our healthcare system here operates. And then it's hard to almost like rewind that or undo
Yeah.
that to a degree.
Because the incentives aren't aligned between the healthcare provider to do, and it's
Yep.
moral injury for these healthcare providers having to
Yes.
work in a system that doesn't promote health.
Yep.
So you get
And-
burnout.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's why you are here today in regards to tackling it from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a conversation with Mark Andreessen where he was talking about like fixing to a degree like not the healthcare system, but like our education system, right?
Yep.
And it is that general notion of people who are in a system and are comfy
Mm-hmm.
in their positions in those systems, they're incentivized for nothing to change.
Right.
So you're essentially trying to push a boulder up a hill, attempting to accomplish the change that you want to make, where everyone else, that weight of the boulder is pushing against you to a degree.
Right.
So the best way for that innovation to take place is from the outside.
Yep.
So then I'm curious, you spending those 16 years on the clinical front lines, wrestling with insurance denials and delayed diagnoses,
hmm
like which patient stories or moments of frustration made you decide I have to build a solution myself?
Yeah. So I was actually, not that COVID was a good thing, but I was actually hopeful that it would expose the cracks in the foundation of our system to such a degree that maybe we would, as a country, say, okay, we're ready for systemic change.
Yeah.
Let's really make a fundamental change with how we pay for and how we align these incentives and changes from the bottom up,
Yeah.
ranging from medical education to coverage, and maybe do a universal type coverage situation where everybody at least has basic and preventative health care. That was my
Yes.
hope. Obviously,
Yes.
that did not happen.
No.
So what happened for me, so I've worked in orthopedics. I subspecialize in pediatric orthopedics. I see a ton of kids and I see everybody regardless of insurance, and I squeeze people in at the end of the day because that's who I am. If somebody's broken, let's get them fixed, especially on a Friday.
Yeah.
Um, and that's not great for my family life because what started happening was I was getting more and more insurance denials. And these were like
Okay.
urgent denials for imaging, like an MRI for a kid who needed surgery within a week or so. Say a flipped meniscus, their
Yeah.
joint is locked, they can't move it. And these were getting denied like at a rate that was increasing.
How?
Well, this is a great thing. So I've memorized all the
Uh,
clinical practice guidelines from the
yeah.
insurance company and I
Yeah.
dictate my note in the order.
Yeah.
So then I have to set up this call called a peer-to-peer review, and I have
Mhm.
to talk to a physician.
Mhm.
Sometimes that physician is in my specialty, sometimes they're not,
Yeah.
and I have to fight my case. And what would happen is they would start asking me the questions in the order I wrote my note. So I'd say, "Did you actually read my note?"
Huh.
And most of the time they're like, "No." And I had
Mhm.
one or two really honest ones say, "Look, these are getting batch denied at the non-clinical level because as part of their business plan, they know a certain percentage of clinicians will not fight this appeals process."
Batch denied.
Yep. So that is insurance companies, like whoever it is, AI
Yeah.
or, non-clinical people,
Mhm.
just rubber stamp denying batches of these claims coming in, hoping that enough of us won't fight the appeals process. Because when I do an appeal, it's after hours. I don't get paid. It's me doing it out of the goodness of my heart because I really believe in fighting for this thing for this patient. But as those mount up, that's more and more unpaid time away from my kids and my family.
Yeah.
And that's leading to burnout.
And they're banking on people not being as altruistic as yourself.
Right.
And that goes in line with their incentive to a degree where they are a for-profit organization. So as much money as they can not have to pay out,
Mm-hmm.
the higher their bottom line,
Exactly.
the better they look to Wall Street.
Yep. So there's been some reports. ProPublica has done a really good expose on this. Most of the larger insurance companies have been slapped on the wrist for this practice, but
Yeah.
that means your insurance company, non-clinicians are practicing medicine. They're making clinical decisions and they're not clinicians.
Hmm.
So something needs to happen at the congressional level
Yeah.
in a way that makes that either illegal or slaps high enough fines on them that they stop doing it. But right now, the incentives to stop doing that are not large enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I got angry.
As you should. As you should. Because
And
especially like denying little kids, like,
right? It- and to slightly to my shame, I knew this was happening in other specialties and it
yeah.
wasn't affecting me yet. So I wasn't as angered as I probably should have been sooner.
Yeah.
But once it started hitting my patients in such a personal way, I said, I feel complicit in a system that I don't believe in. And I don't want to be a cog in this broken wheel anymore.
Yeah.
So I started looking for options. And I said, I either need to step away from healthcare completely
Mm-hmm.
or I need to find out a way I can be part of the solution of what comes next.
Yeah.
Because healthcare is literally hanging on a cliff right now. So I started looking around. I started looking at Harvard's MPP program. And the algorithm worked because
And
MIT's one fellow.
what's MPP?
That's a Master of Public Policy.
Okay.
So my thought was, okay, I'm gonna go work on the Hill, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
fight at the policy level. I'm gonna try and make change that way.
Yeah.
And that was my initial thought. And
Okay.
you know, the more people I talked to, like, ooh, that's a really slow process. You might not be happy with that pathway.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, keep looking. And I found the Sloan Fellows MBA program.
Okay.
This is great. I can cross-register at Harvard Kennedy, do some of the healthcare policy stuff there.
Okay.
I can learn about business and technology and AI.
Yep.
And how can we leverage emerging technology to build a more accessible healthcare system? So that became like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So I applied to MIT, never thinking in a million years. Like, kid from Fairhaven at MIT, like, there's no way. No.
Yep.
And so, as I lovingly say, I rage applied to MIT because I was so angry at the system I was in, not expecting to get in.
So would you rage apply to them?
What?
Would you rage apply to them? Like, was there anything like in an essay or?
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah. No, my
okay.
essays were pretty fired up. It was
Okay.
all about
Okay.
healthcare inequities and leveraging technology for good. And
Okay.
you know, I went to a lot of the pre-admission events and met a lot of people, and it's such a high quality cohort that they curate. We had 115 of us from 41 different countries. And people fly in from all over the world, and they bring their families, and the
Yeah.
families are involved. And again, like, I've been very New England centric my whole life,
Yep.
you know? So it was the potential to open my kids up to this entire world that they had never been exposed to. Like,
Yeah.
they'd never seen mom in academic mode, you know? Now
Yeah.
I'm like studying for exams and
Yep.
setting goals, and they were sitting down studying next to me.
And how old are they at this point?
Now they're 9 and 11. So
Okay.
they were 8 and 10 at the time of the
Okay.
program. And it was like this perfect age for raising two girls.
Yeah.
They came to class with me. Like, I brought
Oh,
them
that's
each to
awesome.
class.
Yeah.
So they got to see what higher education looks like. Like, I never got to see what that looked like. And now
Yeah.
they're at MIT sitting next to these amazing women scientists. And they're like, oh, this is normal.
Yeah.
How cool is that? So, I mean, just, I mean, that part was priceless too.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
they developed bonds with kids from all over the world. So they
Yeah.
had a lot of family events to incorporate and involve our spouses and our kids and,
Okay.
you know, family trips. And yeah, they formed their own little kid cohort too.
Oh, that's
That
awesome.
they will have that for their entire life.
And what do you think that experience would do for them or give them?
Just the expanse of your imagination expands when you know what's possible.
Yeah.
And when you haven't been exposed to all of these things, you just don't even know what's possible. You don't even know to dream about certain things because you just don't know it exists.
Yeah.
So that to me is so cool. Like, I can't even imagine, you know, what you and I would have done had we known that certain things existed.
I know. I
Yeah.
feel like in this world, for the most part, it's either you're exposed to something
Mm-hmm.
or you're just a super inquisitive, curious individual,
Right.
and you find all these things that exist in the world.
Right.
And I feel like the majority of people just by nature, innately, are not that curious,
Mm-hmm.
and they just end up doing what they happen to bump into.
Right.
So them growing up in this environment and just bumping into people at MIT from all walks of life,
Yeah.
from all across the world,
Mhm.
is such a beautiful way for
Oh,
them to grow up.
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious as to what your interactions with these individuals from these different backgrounds, from these different countries, like what that provided for you.
Yeah. So MIT does a lot of social engineering. So they
Okay.
put you in these different groups. So right from orientation week, they purposely put you in diverse groups, and they purposely try and create groups that may have conflict. Because
Okay.
a lot of the early core is on team forming and how do you mitigate conflict and how do you set norms and norms of behavior because everyone is coming from different cultures.
Okay.
And, you know, some of these people are coming from countries where maybe women aren't held to the same social status as men are.
Yeah.
So there's quite a bit during orientation about what our norms are, how we
Mhm.
conduct ourselves with each other, and the motto of no fellow left behind. So that we're all lifting each other up at all times throughout the program, and you're not leaving anyone. Like, if somebody doesn't understand something, we're all helping that person, or they're helping me.
And how'd you help people in those interactions? I'm curious, like some of those places you said where women weren't held up to the same standard as they are
So
here.
I was fortunate to be in a group where I did not run into that, but
Okay.
some of the other teams did.
Okay.
And in most of the cases, they were able to have pretty frank conversations with each other to say, this is how I feel like I'm not being listened to, or I'm not being I'm not being given the same amount of time to speak as somebody else. And I would like this time. So people were pretty upfront with each other about how
Okay.
they were feeling and when. And sometimes that was successful and sometimes it wasn't, you
Yeah.
know. not everything with 115 people is going to be rosy
Of course
100% of
not.
the time.
Yeah.
But I think the program did a really great job of curating a really diverse group. And
Yeah.
I never want to go back. I never want to go back to a situation where
Oh,
it's not a diverse group, because
yeah.
the type of ideas you generate and the innovation you can spur is so much cooler when you've got
Yeah.
a diverse group of viewpoints and people who don't always agree all the time and come
Yeah.
from different backgrounds.
Yeah. And I feel like it is that general thing of, what is that general notion? Like more minds, XYZ, but just a general notion of being able to tap into people who have experienced the world from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And you're essentially adding that to your own repertoire,
Yes.
where it's like you didn't necessarily like experience their life, but by interacting with them, engaging in conversation, like learning about their background, you get a little tidbit from here, you get a little tidbit from here,
Right.
and then it makes your mind expand even more.
Yep.
So then you're better equipped to attack situations where
Absolutely.
prior, if there was a problem you were facing, you would only know how to do it the South Shore way.
Right.
Or like even Providence after that, and maybe a little bit from Scotland, but having these interactions with these individuals, even though you didn't necessarily visit their countries,
Right.
I'm sure by interacting with them,
Yep.
it made your perspective.
It's like watching TV in black and white your whole life, and all of a sudden it's in color. It's
That's a
like
great way to,
that
great way to put
mind-blowing.
it.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. And now, what were your favorite moments from going through that program? Like the most like rewarding and like life-changing? Like when was your Dorothy moment, like we're not in Kansas anymore?
So the first thing is going to MIT, you just have such, at least for me and a lot of my classmates, there was such a sense of imposter syndrome
Yeah.
that, shoot, when are they going to be like, ooh, hey, we didn't actually mean like you, Erin Dawicki, were in. We actually sent the letter to the wrong person. You know, like
Yeah.
you don't feel worthy. You go there and you're surrounded by such brilliant people from all different industries.
Yep.
And I really did have a hard time at first of being like, do I belong here? Am I smart enough? Do I have what it takes to do this?
Yeah.
And they actually give you an executive coach. So every person in the program gets a coach.
Okay.
And I had to work, I worked really hard with my coach. And I was really, the good thing was I was like, I'm going to come in this. I have no ego at the best of times, right? Like I'll make fun of myself all day. And I was brutally honest with him how I was feeling, like from day zero. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if I should be here. I don't know if they made a mistake. And he's like, no, the admissions committee here does not make mistakes. So he challenged me. He said, I want you to sign up for 3 things that make you really uncomfortable.
Okay.
So my first thing was I signed up for a hackathon in climate tech and AI.
Okay.
I had no
Do you know how to
experience in
code?
either of those things.
Okay.
I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I ended up on a team of visiting engineers from Spain.
Okay.
So they were all aerospace engineers visiting from Spain. My Spanish is not great. Their English is not amazing, So it was, and by the end of the weekend, we had built a solution to protect solar panels that a company wanted to buy.
Oh, wow.
Like working together for 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was crazy. And I was like, whoa, my healthcare skills, my leadership skills actually transfer to more industries than healthcare. So that was my first like mind blown moment of, okay, maybe I'm okay here. Like
Yeah.
I did okay on this. And then the second thing was LymeAlert.
Okay.
So
And how did that come about?
yeah, so I got dragged kicking and screaming to this healthcare entrepreneurship program. So
Okay.
this was in addition to our core. So we're doing this
Okay.
like intense summer core.
Yep.
And 2 of my classmates, Wendy and Sophia, said, Erin, we're in this healthcare entrepreneurship class. I know it's late. It started a week ago, but you should totally ask if you can jump in because it's super cool.
Okay.
It's like, I don't know. We're busy. I'm overwhelmed. I already have imposter syndrome. I'm trying to deal with like all these things.
Yeah.
And but then FOMO hits, right? If you're missing out. So I messaged the person in charge of the course. I said, hey, I heard your course is really cool. I'm a healthcare provider. Maybe I can just come in and help mentor some of these teams.
Yeah.
She's like, no, you should join. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So she assigned me to Lyme disease. So there were 3 tracks. There was Parkinson's, Lyme disease, and Takeda sponsored track for pharma.
Okay.
She assigned me to Lyme disease that had the least amount of people. Great, no problem. I'm a healthcare provider in New England. I know Lyme disease,
Yeah. Lyme, Connecticut.
So my goal was, I was like, I'm just going to observe. I'm just going to join somebody else's team for the class project, just help out where I can. But I I don't have anything I want to build on my own. I do not want to do entrepreneurship. It's
Yeah.
risky. I need a
Yep.
salary, all these things.
Yeah.
And so then the morning the pitches were due, I was in the shower. It's like 5:30 in the morning. I live in
Yeah.
the South Shore. It takes me an hour to get in.
Mm.
And I'm in the shower and I'm like, you know what? My patients call me all the time about finding ticks at home. And like, I just end up putting them on doxycycline if there's any concern. I'm like,
Mm.
that's not great. You know, like that's
Yeah.
broad spectrum antibiotics. Antibiotic resistance is rising. People
Mhm.
don't have access to healthcare. Wouldn't it be cool if you could just test the tick at home when you find it and then know, you know if you've been exposed, if you haven't been exposed,
Yeah.
then you can save the money on like the copay, the doctor's visit,
Yeah.
or you can get faster access to antibiotics if you need it.
So this is the morning the pitch is due.
Morning the pitch
in
is
the
due.
shower.
In the
you come
shower.
up with this.
That was
The
it.
shower really is the
Shower
best
is
place.
the best place for ideas.
Yeah.
So then I got out of the shower. I'm like, shoot, that's kind of a good idea.
Yeah.
So I emailed Vita and I'm like, hey, I had this idea in the shower this morning. This is 6:30 in the morning.
Yep.
7:30, she emails me back. She's like, if you can have me slides by noon, like 2 slides, you're in.
Yeah.
So I had my laptop. I'm sneaking it under my lap, during my other classes. I'm making my 2 slides,
Yeah.
pitched my idea, and by 2:30 that afternoon, I had a team. So and this is the dangerous thing at MIT. Like,
Yeah.
if you say a crazy idea out loud at MIT and there's the right people around you, it happens.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful with what you say.
Yeah. Oh man.
So yeah, that was it. That was the start of
Okay.
LymeAlert. And we got enough traction and interest just from that summer because
Mhm.
they brought us through the Lean Canvas business model. We did the NSF I-Core program.
Mm.
And as we did customer interviews, we were realizing what an unmet need there was for more home testing options,
Yeah.
or affordable home testing options, and particularly Lyme disease.
Wow. In the shower.
In the shower, 5:30.
Okay, so walk me through initially building your team, getting that interest. Like,
Mhm.
what was that like? Because you're going from a salary position now.
Yeah.
You're a founder.
Right. So I went from summer dive program where we
Yep.
did our initial team formation, and
Okay.
we did a couple of pitch competitions and we won. So there
Okay.
was like really early interest, and these were like idea phase pitch competitions.
Yep.
We had nothing built. It was just like, hey, let's throw the idea out into the ether and see what happens.
Just some slides.
That's
not
it.
even an MVP at that
Nope,
point.
nothing.
Yeah.
Just an idea on a napkin, and let's see how people respond.
Okay.
And the response was overwhelmingly positive, and the stories we're getting from people about what type of impact this would have made if they had access to that, like permanent disability, Lyme arthritis,
Yeah.
psychiatric manifestations. People were permanently disabled because they found a tick. And then they
Yeah.
got a blood test, and the blood test was negative because our blood tests miss 60% of early stage Lyme cases right now. 60%.
60%.
It's terrible.
That's not a good test.
It's not a good test. So there's all sorts of research going on for better diagnostics in Lyme, which is great. But we need better diagnostics in Lyme disease.
And how many people in the country today does Lyme disease affect? And then how many new cases are
So
reported?
500,000 new cases every year.
Every year?
And they think that number is underrepresented by 8 to 10 times. So it's $1.3 billion of economic impact per year in the United States. And that's just for people. I mean, it affects pets and livestock as well.
And has that number grown? And at what rate?
Yeah,
Like-
so unfortunately it is growing. They think
Mhm.
it's growing at least 8% per year. But
Okay.
again, the reporting is not fantastic. And I will
Yeah.
admit, as a healthcare provider, when I treat Lyme, I don't necessarily report it, because I'm often treating it empirically. Like, I've seen a kid with a big, hot, swollen joint
Yeah.
who had a tick bite 6 to 8 weeks ago. I'm treating him for Lyme. I'm not going to wait and let his cartilage get destroyed more. So, the reporting's not great. We're under reporting. Some people just never go get tested and they wait out their symptoms and hope it goes away. So, yeah. And then as climate change happens, ticks are spreading to regions of the country where they didn't worry about this before. So it is now the most common insect transmitted disease in the entire United States. Wow. In Europe.
And Europe now?
Europe now.
Okay.
Yep.
So could you give us like a brief history of the origins of Lyme? Obviously, Lyme, Connecticut
Yep.
is where I'm assuming the first case was.
So it was the first cluster of
Okay.
cases, and it's where they first noticed that there were a bunch of kids in particular who were coming down with similar symptoms.
Okay.
And, the origins of Lyme are hotly hotly debated in this country. So there is some controversy surrounding when it actually showed up and when it was detected. But what it comes down to is a lot of people had their symptoms ignored for a long time.
Okay.
And primarily long Lyme affects more women. And we don't know why these post-infectious syndromes like long COVID and long Lyme seem to affect more women than men, but they do.
Okay.
And, our medical history has shown us that there's a higher chance of that being ignored. It's all in your head. It doesn't really exist, things like that. And so the history of Lyme has been fraught in terms of early treatment and recognition.
Gotcha. And I know you said now today it's affecting more people at a higher rate. It's spread to more locations than it originally was. Do you know the breadth of the locations that it affects today and what different species it affects as well?
Yeah, so Lyme is carried by a couple different species of ticks. So the most common one is Ixodes scapularis, which is the black-legged tick or the deer tick.
Okay.
And that has spread as far west as actually past out to Montana at this point. So it's almost as far as the Rockies. And then there's another species, Ixodes pacificus, so black-legged tick from the Pacific coast, which is spreading east. And
Oh, oof.
now there are other species of ticks that carry other pathogens. So
Yeah.
there are ticks in all 50 states that carry a different variety of pathogens. Now,
Okay.
eastern seaboard, 54% of our ticks carry Lyme disease. And 10% of those also carry another pathogen. So they're co-infected with more than one disease.
And now, is there any effort in place to eradicate these ticks, or is that even possible?
I mean, they're tough, They have chickens. Chickens eat lots of ticks. So
Okay.
there's one strategy. So the
Is that
chemical.
why we have an egg shortage right now? Because they're not trying to eat
Totally.
those?
Totally. Oh, man. No, but it's one of the benefits of our LymeAlert test kit is that you can use them for environmental monitoring. So you could take these out and do field samples and see what the prevalence of Lyme is in a particular area
Okay.
and maybe target your mitigation efforts in that area and treat that particular area if it is a hot spot.
Okay.
So that's one of the use cases that we're looking at.
Gotcha. What are the other use cases?
Military.
Okay.
So
How so?
U.S. Army soldiers get Lyme disease at a much higher rate than other occupations. So they're out in the woods doing field training exercises, or they're in these environments for weeks and weeks at a time.
Yeah.
So one of our thoughts is that if you put this with a dose of doxycycline in their test kit, they can test in the field. And especially if they can't get out of the field for a while, they can test a tick if it's engorged and bitten them, test in the field and take the antibiotics right away.
And I'm assuming when a tick bites you, you notice it's not something.
Oh, no. So not necessarily.
Okay.
So my world's worst mom story. So my older daughter, Ellery, went to the nurse 3 days in a row complaining of ear pain. And I'm a PA. I have an otoscope at home. They make you buy one when you're in med school. So everybody has one. So I looked in her ear. I'm like, you're fine. Your canal is fine. You don't have an ear infection. Go back to class. Day 3, the little fold in the corner of her ear, I could see the little bugger, like the embedded engorged tick, sticking out of that little fold under her ear. So at this point, this thing's been sucking the blood next to her brain for like 3 days, right? And I'm like, I need that brain to be functional, Like, you need to take care of me, hopefully someday.
Yeah.
So I felt terrible. So, I contacted her pediatrician. Obviously, I have medical knowledge, so I knew what to do. I call her pediatrician right away. We got our antibiotics. But shoot, they like dark, warm, moist areas that you don't notice. So, yep.
Yeah, so this is even closer to home
Mm-hmm.
than I realized initially.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
So fortunately, she's fine. I mean, she has permanent eye rolling affliction, but she's a preteen, so I feel like that's par for the course.
She'll grow out of it, yeah.
Aliens have invaded her body, right?
Yeah, they do at that age.
Yeah, that's so hard.
That's the place they like to occupy.
Yeah. She'll come back someday.
Yeah. So you juggled MIT's Sandbox Dive, healthcare entrepreneurship track, the intensive Sloan Fellows MBA program, and a cross-registration at Harvard Kennedy School for healthcare policy courses.
Yes.
How did the blend of startup experimentation, business leadership training, and policy insight converge shape your approach to building LymeAlert?
Yeah, couple ways actually. So, I went into MIT thinking I wanted to do more healthcare policy and work
Yeah.
in the healthcare consulting or government type space.
Yeah.
And doing healthcare policy across Harvard Kennedy School and having exposure to so many people who'd worked in that area, it really helped open my eyes to what the process is, what it truly is.
Hmm.
There's um, the optimistic side of you that thinks like, great, I'm passionate about this. If I just work hard enough, we can make the change we need to see. So
Yep.
hearing more of the real world experiences of how systemic change happens at a national level was maybe a little bit depressing, but also it was good to have a realistic view of what
Yep.
it was. And
Definitely.
then also to be in an ecosystem that really encourages entrepreneurship of a way of creating systemic change.
Yeah.
Because I'd never considered that as a possible route before MIT.
Hmm.
So that was mind expanding.
Yeah.
And then what I did was I spent my IAP, so our winter sessions called IAP,
Okay.
doing a program called Start MIT. And
Okay.
it's basically you dedicate 2 to 3 weeks of your life to full-time entrepreneurship to try it on for size and see. And so I told my husband, I said, okay, I'm trying on LymeAlert for this period. That's all I'm going to focus on. And
Yeah.
I need to wrap my head around this being my full-time job
Okay.
because otherwise I need to start doing the
Mm.
recruiting process. And by the time it came out, I said, you know what? We have a technology that at
Hmm.
that point we had developed the theoretical model for,
Yep.
and we're working on getting lab space.
Hmm.
But we had enough belief in our theoretical model that we could do this. That I was like, I almost felt like an obligation. Like, if you can create something like this that can impact millions of lives, I almost felt an obligation that we need to get this out there. Like, you can't just create it and then just leave it and
No,
let it die.
at all.
So there was a sense of moral and ethical obligation to get this technology out to people where it can make a difference.
And now, did that make the decision easier to forego being recruited to work with or work at LymeAlert full time?
It almost felt like I had less of a choice,
Okay.
and particularly once we got the prototype working.
Yeah.
So MIT was really generous. We got to work in the MIT Biomaker space,
Okay.
and that is free lab space for student entrepreneurs to develop products in the biological sciences.
Okay.
And that was huge, having access to that lab space for free with all the equipment ready to go. Like, we didn't have to outfit it. It was there. And so once we had the prototype working and we interviewed over 500 people
Oh wow.
and realized what type of impact we could make, not
Yeah.
just in the United States, but globally.
Hmm.
Because you can apply the same technology to other tick-borne diseases and they
Yeah.
affect every corner of the planet.
Okay.
Again, it just strengthened that sense of like, we got to get this out here.
Yeah. So these individuals that you interviewed,
Mhm.
where were they from? What was like the farthest reaching place that it affected, and
Mhm.
like how did those conversations impact you?
Yeah, so they were far flung. So some of them were targeted. So we would go on Facebook groups. So we joined Facebook groups for the horse community or the veterinary community. We went to a veterinary
The
conference.
horse community.
Horse community. So horses,
Hmm.
high performance horses in particular, are really affected by Lyme.
Okay.
And so many of the kind of backyard barns that we went to, they would say,
Mhm.
oh yeah, 25 out of 26 of our horses have had Lyme disease at some point. But when you're talking a $2 to $4 million investment horse, they will do a lot to prevent that from happening because
Yeah.
undetected Lyme disease, as it does in humans, destroys cartilage in the joints.
Okay.
And it can cause cardiac issues and it can cause breeding issues.
Hmm.
It causes stillbirths in livestock. It's a big, big problem. And so some of the barns would talk to actually hire extra grooming staff, partly because their
Mhm.
horses go out to graze in the summer. They
Yeah.
come back covered, their faces are covered in ticks. And if they miss those, that's a big deal. You
Yeah.
can't compete. You can't stud them out. Like, there's all these
Hmm.
economic losses.
Yep.
And, I don't come from an equestrian background, so this came from a pitch competition. I was at a pitch competition and had horse owners running up to us after, like, do you have any idea what a big problem this is? I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I have no idea. I treat humans,
Yeah.
like, I have no idea. So we learned a lot by
Mhm.
going through that. But every person we talked to has had a different experience, and we have not met one person yet who has said, I don't know anyone for this whom this has been an issue. Everybody
Hmm.
at least knows somebody. Even if it hasn't been them, they know of somebody.
Yeah.
So it's an issue that's touched a lot of people in a lot of different places.
I'm assuming that was a a validating process in regards to your pursuit of working on
Hugely so.
LymeAlert. It was like,
Hugely
okay,
so. Is
I'm
this a
doing
big
it.
enough problem to solve?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people I chat with use the book The Mom Test to be able to
Yeah.
validate these ideas. Did
Yeah.
you
I read the
read
Mom
that?
Test.
Yeah. I have it at home. I still haven't read it yet, but it's on the counter to be read this
Yeah.
this
It's
weekend.
not a long read. It's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Perfect.
Oh no, I'll tell you an interesting insight we got
Yeah.
from the vet conference. So veterinarians consider themselves, and I really appreciate it now that my eyes have been open to it,
Mm-hmm.
but they consider themselves to be on the front lines of human healthcare as well.
Interesting.
Because a lot of diseases get transferred. Yeah. So ticks in particular,
Mm-hmm.
if the weather is over 74 degrees,
Yeah.
ticks suddenly prefer humans over animals.
Interesting.
Isn't that fascinating?
And is that with a lot of diseases or just in this instance with ticks?
So this is just in this instance with ticks
Okay.
as an example. But the
Huh.
utilization rate of flea and tick preventative meds is actually quite low nationally.
Okay.
And some studies have put it as low as 40%. The
Mhm.
highest study I've seen puts as high as 60%, and that's only for New England, where we have higher awareness.
Okay.
So a lot of the veterinarians we talked to said, you know what? If somebody could test the tick at home and see that this tick they pulled off of their dog
Mhm.
carries a pathogen,
Yep.
they will probably be more likely to use these medications to prevent this. And that helps human health at the same time.
Okay.
That was really,
Huh.
as a human healthcare provider, like I just
Yeah.
didn't have that appreciation for my veterinary colleagues of
Yeah.
seeing themselves that
Yeah.
way. And so
Hmm.
they call it this one health situation where we're all connected and all these
Mhm.
things affect all of this. And I really love that.
Oh, it's a
So
beautiful way of looking at it.
yeah. And it's been one of the most fun things for me is
Mhm.
seeing more of that interconnectedness, like
Yeah.
we talked about at the beginning.
Huh. That's wild. Now, are you ready for some quick fire questions?
Do it.
Okay. Question number 1. What makes Boston's startup scene unique,
Oh,
and how has it shaped your journey
I like
so
this.
far?
Yeah. People are collaborative and helpful. So people recognize the benefit of community here. And in other places I've gone to, so I've visited New York a few times. I feel like people keep their cards closer to their chest. Boston's like, how can I help? Let's solve this problem. This is fun. Let's just help each other.
Yeah.
And there's no expectations, just interesting problems that want to help them.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like Boston, it is unique where I feel like the more interesting people that I meet, like yourself, are the people who are more willing and open to having a conversation with someone like myself or
Yeah.
just like helping each other in any capacity.
Yep.
Whereas, yeah, to your point, other cities, it's not as collaborative.
Right.
And I feel like Boston being an educational hub
Mm-hmm.
and this place where everyone is so innately curious and wants to learn from these interesting people,
Mm-hmm.
it makes for such a great community and area to foster just different types of thought and collective thought. And I view Boston to a degree as an area where you can be the most noble version of yourself
I love that.
just by proxy,
Yeah.
where I'm next to Harvard, I'm next to MIT,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to run into an Erin. I'm going to run into these people
Yeah.
just by pure proxy
Yep.
and have conversations like this,
And
which
it's
I love to do.
inspiring, right? Like you
Oh,
meet really cool people
yeah.
everywhere.
Yep,
And like you said, it makes you want to be a better version of yourself and solve the next big problem.
definitely does.
Super fun.
And it's so encouraging as well. I remember going to one of the pitch competitions. It may have been Delta V.
Mm-hmm.
And who runs the Martin Trust Center?
Bill Allett.
Yes. And I remember they were giving out stickers during the event, and there were these like Barbie stickers saying,
Yes.
yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
And I remember just the rhetoric that he was, and the message he was giving to the crowd at that moment was so inspiring in the sense of like what you mentioned in regards to not even thinking that you would become an entrepreneur and not really understanding like what went into it, but just being in an environment where everyone's like, I have an idea, I'm going to do this. You're like, wait, we can do this?
Right? Yep.
It's such a great community to
Well, and
be a
even,
part of.
he came and talked to our MIT class like maybe the first week, and he
Yeah.
just talked about entrepreneurship like it was almost a foregone conclusion.
Yep.
And I remember kind of like bristling against that, like, well, no, I don't want to do that. Entrepreneurship, terrible.
Yep.
But the sense of possibility and like, yes, cool ideas at MIT become companies regularly. This is
Yes.
part of the fiber of our being.
Yep.
And you get sucked into it.
Yeah. And it really is, like even in a larger sense, the fiber of who we are as a species, where if it were not for entrepreneurs, this microphone would not exist. These headphones would not exist.
Yep.
The camera would not exist. Where if it weren't for individuals like yourself, the world that we occupy today wouldn't be what it is. So I'm so grateful for individuals
Right.
like yourself. And my father, he was an entrepreneur in Trinidad and Tobago.
Wow.
And he would always tell me growing up the importance of, he would always say, you have to build something in this world. And that always resonated with me so heavily because it is true. In this world, you're either building something or working on something somebody else built and helping them see out their vision. Now, there's nothing wrong in that. But if you want to and have a vision that you want to see come to fruition, the best way to do it is to be an entrepreneur.
Absolutely. I agree. Well, and what I try and instill in my kids is 3 things. Number 1, don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
Number 2, if you have kids, don't raise little jerks.
No.
But number 3, leave this world better than how you found it.
Yeah.
And whether or not that's through building something or service to others, however it may be.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And final question I have for you here. So 10 years from now, if you look back on what you've built, what do you hope will have changed for future generations?
Ooh. All right. This is like my pie in the sky vision.
Okay. Love it.
10 years from now, I want to be in a society that says healthcare is a right, and we have a system that says that access to healthcare is a right for everybody. So whether or not that's through providing free medical education, or at least providing free preventative care in some way, shape, or form. Like, I would like to see us as a society say that this is important enough, we need to invest in it. So that there's so many people. How many people have we lost out on their full potential because of a preventable illness or an injury or loss of economic opportunity because of something entirely preventable? And that kills me. Like, I, as somebody who grew up like with not a lot of resources, I hate waste.
Yeah.
And that to me feels really wasteful.
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful that someday when I look back that you won't have to think about, can I afford care? Do I have to think twice about going to a doctor? Yeah. I hope it's a no-brainer. Like, yeah, you hurt, go to a doctor. Yeah. And I hope that we value education and we value what science tells us in a way that we really hold up science as also a no-brainer, that we're not questioning things as much as we are now. And I also hope we come up with some kind of solution for misinformation so that people can access information when they need it that they can trust. Because I think loss of trust in some of the tenets of our society is really damaging. And it pushes us further apart from each other instead of uniting us and connecting each other.
And the irony in that instance as well is, like, think about it. The motto of this country is, it's the United States of America. And yet how we tend to operate is in a united we stand, divided we fall sense, in that we're operating from a divide and conquer perspective, where the division lies on the margins of things that, because on a whole, we all want the same things.
We all want the same things.
We all want the same things. You want your kids to have long, healthy lives. You want them to have happy lives. We all, for the most part, want the same things.
Yeah.
But how do we get these individuals to fight in between each other?
Right.
Let's find these fringe things. So it is ideally the eradication of those fringe divisive measures could be able to get us to a place where we're working together as a collective as much as possible to rise, because rising tide lifts all ships.
Exactly.
And we just need to have that general notion. It's like, we're in this together.
Yes.
Like,
Yes. And it's fear that divides us.
It
So
does. It does.
how do we eradicate fear and give people hope and a sense of unity and togetherness? And
Yeah.
finding the things that connect us is so much more powerful than the things that divide us.
And I feel like that's a good place to stop. Well, thank you for
This is super fun.
yeah, I had a blast.
No, this is super fun.
Yeah,
and you're
thanks
going to
for
come do
joining
archery
me.
with me.
I can't wait.
Yes.
I love it.